Ever wonder why you hear one big economic number and then,
Mm,
maybe a few weeks or months later, it gets quietly revised? Feels a bit like trying to hit a moving target, doesn't it? Well, today on the deep dive, we're really going all in on something fundamental. It's about how economic information gets shared, with the public. And it's not just about getting data out there. It's about trust. Is the data trustworthy? And there's this fascinating tension, this pull between getting info out fast versus getting it absolutely right. Okay, so here's where this gets like incredibly vivid. Picture this scene. Steve Moore. He's a senior fellow at the Heritage Foundation. He's at the White House, and he's presenting, and I quote, new data that no one has ever seen before. Hmm. That's a pretty bold statement, wouldn't you
oh,
say?
no, it definitely sets high expectations.
And his big claim that job growth figures under the Biden administration were overstated, not by a little, by about 1.5 million jobs.
Wow. That's a huge number. Enough to really swing perceptions. Exactly. Policy debates, public opinion, all of it. But here's the critical bit. The missing piece. At the time he said this, the actual data, his specific methods, they weren't released, not publicly.
Right. Promised for later, perhaps, but not available then.
Precisely. So you're left with this massive economic claim and, well, absolutely no way to check it yourself. It's kind of like seeing a magic trick,
Yeah.
Very flashy, but you're left thinking, wait, is that actually real? How did they do that?
Exactly. And that's why this specific situation, this Moore example, it isn't just some, political footnote. It's actually a perfect lens, a really unique way to look into this dynamic, this interplay between political messages, the need for transparent data, and ultimately public trust.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating, or maybe worrying, is that this isn't totally isolated, right? It connects to a much broader pattern. Think about how often we see official statistics get revised, like the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the BLS data.
Oh, yeah. Those revisions, they seem to happen quite a bit.
They do. And they aren't just minor tweaks sometimes. They can genuinely trigger uncertainty. Ripple effects through markets, public confidence, it all gets shaken up. I mean, we've even seen something incredibly rare. A BLS chair being removed after big arguments over job numbers.
Wow, I didn't realize that. That's serious.
It really underscores the pressure, the high stakes involved, and it raises serious questions. Questions about the independence of these crucial statistical agencies, and how data itself, unfortunately, can become a political football.
Okay, so putting all that together, here's the core challenge we really want to dig into today. In this world where information just flies around instantly, how do you navigate it? Especially when major economic claims, potentially huge ones, are made without the evidence being right there, immediately verifiable.
Yeah, and if we sort of zoom out to the bigger picture here, the risks are pretty clear when claims are made without that transparency. First, confusion. It doesn't just creep in, it can explode, really. You're left scratching your head, looking at conflicting headlines, wondering what's actually going on.
Right, you don't know who or what to believe.
Exactly. And second, maybe even more damaging in the long run, is the erosion of trust. Mistrust grows not just in the claim, but in the whole system of economic reporting. The public is basically forced to choose sides between these unverified stories, often very emotionally charged narratives.
Because there's no way to check them in real time.
Precisely.
Yeah.
No way to scrutinize them properly. So restoring that trust, it needs a real commitment, a commitment to openness, not just showing the data, but explaining the methodology, showing your work, essentially. And it needs patience in how we communicate, valuing substance, verifiable truth over just being first with a flashy number. So where do we go from here? What's the path forward?
Kind of boils down to a few key things, I think.
Yeah.
We absolutely have to prioritize releasing the data and the detailed methods at the same time as any big economic claims.
Makes sense. If you make the claim, show the proof. Right. The recipe needs to be available instantly. And we need to encourage independent checking. Get academics, nonpartisan researchers to replicate and critique the findings. That adds credibility.
Yeah.
And maybe the most critical piece are statistical agencies like the BLS need to really foster and fiercely protect their independence.
Keep them insulated from political pressure.
Exactly. Guard against any hint of politicization. Their credibility is it's paramount.
Okay. So we've unpacked quite a bit here about transparency, claims, evidence, trust. Given all that, here's a thought maybe for you to take away and mull over. How can you, just as someone consuming news every day, get better at critically assessing economic data? When you see a new economic fact, especially one that sounds really big or surprising, what questions should immediately pop into your head? Like, are they showing their work? Where's the data? And maybe think about how each of us can push for a public conversation that's grounded more in solid evidence, rather than just, well, competing narratives and loud assertions.